Going to cue me up. So the crypto bill is the crypto bill the mark of the beast? And this is a bill called the Genius Act. I don't know if Genius Act actually means something, okay? But this is a move that is taking place as we speak for the future of digital currency in the United States. Senate has passed the Genius Act, which aims to regulate stablecoins by granting federally chartered banks exclusive authority to issue them. This legislation, which passed with bipartisan support, seeks to ensure that any digital representation of the dollar remains within the regulated banking system. The Genius Act could inadvertently pave the way for a retail central bank digital currency or CBDC system, as it allows commercial banks to issue stablecoins backed by dollar reserves. With the bill now awaiting House approval, experts warn that while it may enhance consumer safety, it could also concentrate market power among a few large banks, potentially limiting competition and access to digital financial assets. Essentially, okay, in layman's terms, we have the Genius Act, okay, which is supposed to give rocket fuel to the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and all those. Um, is what they're trying to do now is basically bring some kind of stabilization within the market by producing its own stable coins. What a stable coin is a coin that shouldn't necessarily go up or down, but it should be stable to act as a type of U.S. dollar, so to speak, but within the crypto space. Now, the problem with this is that this bill, and one of the things that I like is this is, again, MTG. She's been in the news a lot. Okay, we're talking about MTG going against Trump against Ukraine. And while I didn't agree with her, I actually agree with her right here. Cue this video up for us.
Well, why don't you continue? Because looks like you didn't mark any segments in it.
I
Or
didn't mark any
upload it.
segments in it. What? Okay, that's all right. Well, is there which video is it? Let me see. Can you at least play it, and I'll tell you where to go? No,
Here, let's play this
man.
other one. Let's play this other one first, and I'll fix it.
Okay, cue us up, Matt. Where's all of our videos, dude, of MTG? You know what? Let me just share the screen, dude. I'm just going to share the screen here. Um, Let me go to X. Let me see here. Where do I go here? X home. Okay. Let's go. Okay. Let's see where we at here. MTG. Let's go to this one right here. This was MTG talking to Steve Bannon. And I think it's around the 40-second mark where she begins talking about it right here.
In 2025, when no one is paying attention, no one's talking about it, everyone is in blind rage about the Epstein files, and I don't blame them. However, right now, what is being voted on today in Congress is the entire setup, groundwork, and entire infrastructure being laid to move from cash to digital currency. And the number one thing that is not happening today is a ban on a central bank digital currency. This means the ability for the government to take control of your digital bank account where all your money is and turn it off. And this is why I'm so upset and it's not being talked about. Steve, I was the only no vote on the rule last night. And Congress set a record last night, and no one's talking about that either. This was the longest vote held open for a rule in history, And it finally shut down sometime around midnight. because there was a deal made, and the deal will not be honored. It was a deal that Speaker Johnson made, and he said that he would put a ban on central bank digital currency in the NDAA. But let me tell you something, that's going to get stripped out in the Senate, because what they told us all week long is the Senate does not have the votes to pass a ban on a central bank digital currency. So I want to lay this out straight for you all. You never thought in your lifetime that the government would shut you down, would close your churches, would close your schools, would close your business. And that happened only a few years ago. But what is happening today is the groundwork is being laid, and it's all in the name of cryptocurrency and stablecoin, but it is the entire regulatory process to switch us from cash to a cashless society to digital currency that can be controlled by the federal government. And there will be no ban on a central bank digital currency. There will be no way to protect your ability to fully control your digital currency in the future. And I'm voting no to this today. I don't know if there'll be any other no votes on the Republican side, but I'm voting no to this because I'm a Christian and I've read the Bible and I believe what Revelations 13, 16 through 17 says. And I just cannot vote for a future system that will do that.
And so there you have it. Again, MTG is stating her thoughts on this Genius Act, which, interestingly enough, Matt, we talk about it a lot. How there's things in the government or the things in the news that overshadow certain things that the House of Representatives or bills that are getting passed, and you got to kind of wonder. What's going on with this thing, as she was starting off in that video talking about how the Epstein files, everybody's talking about the Epstein files, but then all of a sudden here comes this act, right? And it's trying to get passed, right? And she goes on to say later on, she's talking to Steve Bannon, and, she's saying how we didn't even know that there was another bill being introduced except Monday. Like, we all knew about the big, beautiful bill. But now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes this Genius Act, and they don't even have time to even really go through it. And Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, isn't giving any of the representatives the opportunity to amend it. That he was just forcing them to just vote yes or no. And obviously, they're being forced almost to vote yes because it's under the guise of Donald Trump's agenda. And so, we start talking about that Trump meter. Where's our faith level in all this? Man, it just might be a little bit below 50% right about now with all of this. And so, right now, where it's at, this bill, the Act bill or the Genius Act. It went to the House. It passed the House. It goes to the Senate. The Senate just voted on it today. They voted yes. Now it goes back to the House for one last vote. And so, we'll see. We'll see where it happens. I mean, at the end of the day, you just can't outpray prophecy. You just can't outpray prophecy. God's will be done. Scripture will be fulfilled. And it just is what it is. Brother Matt.
Yeah, I agree. On the cryptocurrency front, there's a whole lot to be said about all this. And as usual, I think that Alex Jones really did it sort of justice. Let's see if we can get this thing.
It's really hard to overstate how dangerous it is. It is literally the mark of the beast system, a global social credit score, the ESG corporate governance systems right down into your smart devices, your phone, the smart appliances, the AI, surveilling everyone in live time. As you know, China's already had it in place about 7 years. Ground robots, drones being directed by it. The goal is you can't leave 1 foot outside your house, to quote the Chinese Communist government, if you're not in good standing. You can't get on a train, you can't rent a car, you can't rent a hotel, you can't have a job. And the UN, the WEF, and others for decades and Bill Gates has been heavily involved, have already created the standardization for this with China for a global rollout of central bank digital currencies that the nations then comport to. And essentially, it'll end up being one big global corporate new currency that would replace the dollar. So Trump wisely in the last few years said he is against any central bank digital currency system, and he would oppose one foreign, which is basically what the BRICS is forming, and that he would oppose one here. And he has supported Bitcoin and things that actually diversify currencies to the public that are free and open and open source and a competing market of currencies, which is the answer. And so it's really the ring of Sauron to bind everybody together with total control. And we have the head of the IMF and the World Bank and the International Bank of Settlements and the head of the UN and all of them. We have Tedros, the head of the WHO, saying we need a global central bank digital currency to control everything you do, to lock you down during new pandemics they've got planned. This is the mechanism. It'll be your internet ID. It'll do everything. And if we think as populist and conservatives and Christians and common sense people that we've been debanked and harassed as conservatives before, this is exponentially more dangerous. And the big international banks that the Federal Reserve is part of, private, they have said this is their holy grail, and they're really, really trying to roll it out. And so the fact that there is a pathway to this with a digital central bank digital currency dollar in this Genius Act, and that only MTG and you and a few others have been exposing it, it is a nightmare.
Yeah. No, and listen, I mean, I'm the first to say because I don't trust the internet and trust internet consensus, and I don't like when people have certainty about this is going to be this is going to be that. But I can tell you that from the beginning of Satoshi Nakamoto, with the advent of Bitcoin, having been anonymous, not knowing who created it, there's always been speculations that perhaps it was a CIA, an NSA type of operation per se. And within the crypto community, in the beginning, cryptocurrency was seen not as a way to make millions and millions of dollars by holding on to your coins. Okay. What it was an alternative to what we called fiat, right? In terms of the idea that the United States dollar used to be backed by gold and silver. Ron Paul and the Austrian School of Economics really brought that to our attention of how that's not the case anymore. And that now, by the issuance of the 16th Amendment, which is claimed not to even have been ratified by the necessary two-thirds of the states, and the advent of the creation of the Federal Reserve being a private bank, and as we see that the president doesn't have any role in terms of the director, or nor can he actually direct his operations or even fire him. That the private bank of the United States that the Federal Reserve of the United States is actually a private bank is at the paramount of the libertarian conspiracy world per se. And this school of thought is really brought to us by Edward G. Griffin, who wrote the book The Creature from Jekyll Island, and explains the origins of the creation of the Federal Reserve. And the reason why I mention this is because we had always looked at this as the conditioning so that for the population to accept digital currency. Okay. Now the idea is that before Bitcoin went from $20 to $120, and then started scaling into the thousands, and people like myself wish that they hadn't spent it on smoothies and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. When it was something that you would want to hold on to as what they would say is digital gold, it was an experiment for how we could return to state sovereignty having control over its own currencies. I don't know if you know this, but in the United States of America, a state cannot print its own currency. The Federal Reserve Act dictates that we are bound by the one United States dollar. And so, Bitcoin and digital currencies and the idea of the blockchain and the decentralization component of it from the beginning was always looked at as a playground for experimentation by libertarian school of thought and economicists. However, there's always been the idea that, and I was actually one of the early adopters of this school of thought. I used to be on programs like the Alex Jones Show and such, discussing my theory of how Bitcoin could be controlled, the very same way that if you were to hack an Excel spreadsheet and inject 30,000 records, and if the result of that Excel spreadsheet is you're trying to compute what is the average of this particular column, that I can control the current price of anything by manipulating the number of records within that particular spreadsheet. So it's been my theory, and which I actually have evidence of, is that the bots, which used to be rumor, are now accepted as whales control their own bots, countries control their own bots. That Bitcoin is now subject manipulation, and what has happened is, as people have become rich off of Bitcoin, it is no longer a libertarian hobbyist experiment in decentralization, but a quick get rich quick scheme. And the reason why I say that is because that was what has garnered so much attention to it nowadays. And although we don't see people using cryptocurrency for the day-to-day spending, the reason why it is because you don't use it for your day-to-day spending, because if you think that if you use it, then you're going to miss out on it going up, which is why stablecoins were invented. So stablecoins are supposed to be USDC, USDT, these type of currencies that are pegged to every other cryptocurrency, so that we have the freedom to say, okay, I'm not going to worry about spending my stable coin out in the world, because I know that there's no volatility of this particular stable coin. So as came the advent of the stable coin, it was nearly impossible. And by the way, I thought it was absolute genius. I didn't anticipate that move. I never thought that would take place. But the idea that the federal governments would also initialize their own type of stable coin, pegging cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin to it, I think is a natural order of things. And inevitably, I don't think that the adoption of cryptocurrency and its replacement for the stock markets. Most people nowadays, kids who are in their 20s and 30s, they don't own a Wells Fargo market to trade in the NASDAQ or in the Dow, but they do have a cryptocurrency wallet. And all that to be said is, I'm the first to say this is a conspiracy. I've seen it with my own eyes. The markets have been manipulated. The price of Bitcoin got to be where it is today by bots and by whales and by manipulation. And I believe the reason why that is to foment attention to Bitcoin and attention to decentralized currencies, so that when this moment comes, it would seem as the natural evolution of things.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we are taking off to the moon. Meme coin season is right around the corner. Pack your bags. No, I'm just kidding. Kidding, not kidding. I invest in crypto here and there. But I've always thought that, there's a possibility that it could turn into some kind of a mark of the beast or beast system type of currency. And I've always just made up in my mind that, it could be that I could have to just let it go. And if that's the case, that's the case. And, and I do pray that maybe God can give us wisdom to earn some type of a wealth or something like that, buy some land, cash out, buy some land, and live off the land, perhaps, maybe. But we'll see.
It just seems to be the natural evolution of things. I mean, as much as I think there is a conspiracy behind the advertising of it and getting it so accepted within, under a decade, I do think that it's brilliant technology. And as far as technology goes, the way that the clearinghouses work for the normal trust and what? Yeah. Anyhow, the way that the clearinghouses work within the traditional banking system, I mean, the advent of blockchain is far more sophisticated. But these technologies can either be used for good or for evil, and we're going to see how it all ends up inevitably working out. In terms of whether it's the mark of the beast or not, I don't know what else would have the capability of tracking you, like the Bible says, except for something like crypto. Nothing can track
I think
you
the
like
mark
a
is
wallet.
something that the mark is going to be something that obviously enters into the hand or the forehead and it's going to be able to control the way you buy. Cryptocurrency is the currency, or perhaps maybe cryptocurrency is the currency that could be used for the beast system. But the mark of the beast is just the mark. It's not the encompassing beast system. The beast system is, all of it, so to speak. But anyhow,
Yeah.
all right.
Well, finishing up here, the Area 51 has came into the picture. I'm no fan